Hey, this is Mark, and this is episode 10 of the Why Are We Still Doing This podcast. This is part 3 and the final installment of Why Are We Still Longing for Retro Gaming. And in this episode, we talk about the place where most of our core teenage memories lived, as well as the home of most arcades, the mall. We talk about how our local newspaper spoiled a video game Christmas surprise for one of us, general mall nostalgia, including the smells that, quote, take us back, some of the worst places to eat in a mall food court, the lust for physical media in a digital age, the quest to collect every Super Nintendo game, the shot of dopamine that nostalgia gives people, the escapism in playing retro gaming, and the unlikely resurrection of one of our favorite childhood restaurants that really nobody asked for. So I hope you all enjoy this episode, and once again, here's Jesse and I. And it was just funny how I read the caption. So tell the story first, because then I have something to say after it. But tell me.
Okay, yeah. So my dad, this is again back in '91. He's at the Berkshire Mall shopping for Christmas presents for my sister and myself. He was stopped by a reporter from the local paper, the Berkshire Eagle. They're working on a story. So the story was called "Gift Shoppers Cautious with Their Cash." And so they were interviewing him about he recently was laid off from GE, his struggles as far as buying presents, all the presents he wants to buy for his kids. And so the article also had a picture with it. That was a picture of him sitting on the park bench at Berkshire Mall. And there was, in this picture, there was a bag, a KB toy bag, sitting next to him with the front of the top of the bag facing the camera, where you could clearly see the top of the box in the bag with the word Sega Genesis on it. and I don't know how that got back past the photographer and the editor, but yeah, I had no idea he did the interview with the Berkshire Eagle. But the next day, I came into school, and then as soon as I walked in, somebody came up to me and was like, "Dude, you're getting a Sega Genesis for Christmas." And I'm just like, I'm confused. I'm like, what? Like, how would you know that information? And then he told me about the story about my dad and in the Berkshire Eagle.
When did you actually see
what he was getting me for Christmas?
When did you actually see the picture?
I think it was later that day.
Yeah. Did your dad ever see it and was like, "Ah, shit"?
I don't think he realized that the Sega Genesis was in the picture.
Yeah.
So I never mentioned anything to him about it.
Okay. It's just funny because I read the caption, and I actually sent that story. I told my friend who's the editor of the paper, and he was like, he had a good laugh at it. But obviously he wasn't the editor then. But the caption in the picture was like something like, not being sure about he'll be able to get as many gifts for his children this year. And it's just so funny because my mom would say that every friggin' year. She would say that to my sister and my sister and I still joke about that to this day. She'd say, "I don't think you guys are getting much for Christmas this year." And then, lo and behold, she'd wheel out, the plethora of gifts that were somehow always there, I was talking about that in one of my podcasts recently about how, people share those memes about Christmas, from the early 90s or late 80s, like, Christmas just hit differently then. And I was like, well, yeah, because it was 30 years ago. You were 9 years old. What else did you have to think about? You're not thinking about going to the DMV that day. You're thinking about presents. That's all you're thinking about. Well, sure, yeah, it's gonna feel different, but also just how different Christmas for me has been in 10 years with kids, and how the things I get for my kids are different. The stuff that my wife and I buy for each other is different, how Christmas is going to be different in 10 years. So it's just one of those like nostalgia things where it's like, you know, everything was better back then. Well, yeah, because also you were 9, you know. But I mean, again, when you see stuff like that, you can't help but kind of get a nice feeling, and that's, I think, what all, you know, a lot of retro video game playing and collecting does for you is just, it's, you know, I bought a reissued like He-Man toy just on a whim because I was like, this is pretty freaking cool, you know. Obviously not going to open up and play with it, but it's just one of those things to like look at and you remember like what the box felt like. There's this one He-Man toy that I remember I had where you would put caps like for a cap gun in it, and it would like pop and then it would smoke a little bit like from like a cap gun. And I remember I saw it like on eBay or something, and I could instantly remember what that smelled like a cap gun, or like when this He-Man toy, you put the little thing in and it would make that cap gun sound and it would smoke. Like I instantly could remember what that smelled like. What do you have? What's a smell for you that like you're like, oh my god, like I'm back there? Do you have one? Drakkar Noir from the 90s, maybe.
I'm trying to think.
New pair of shoes on the first day of school.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the smell of new clothes, because like the day before school, like you go school shopping, whatever, and you get X amount of 5 outfits, you know, and then you know you hang them up in your closet or put them in your drawers, and then you usually have, you know, well I would anyway have an outfit ready to go for the next day, right? But with all those new clothes in your room, you know, it would just fill up your room with that new clothes smell, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, that definitely takes me back.
Yeah, I remember smelling the cologne I wore in like 8th grade, and I remember that took me back. You know, I still have some of the cologne that I wore, like, I don't know, I used to wear it in like high school, and I still have some of it now. It's just like I bought it periodically through the years, but
what cologne?
Obsession.
Okay.
Calvin Klein.
Oh yeah, I can relate to that, because if I smell preferred stock, that would take me right back to 7th
oh
grade.
My God. Preferred stock. Oh my God.
Wow. I only wore it because somebody gave it to me for my birthday. I was like, oh, you're getting older now, and, you know, you should start wearing cologne. Like, all right, sure. So, 7th grade, started wearing preferred stock.
Who was this person that said you're getting older, you got to wear cologne? Who was it? One of those like random uncles that you see like 3 times a year that slips you a 20, you know? And
it was it was actually my sister's boyfriend, who was 5 years older than me.
Oh, so he probably had the lay of the land and, you know, slayed some beasts, you know, along the way, and knew what it took to get there.
and of course he wore preferred stock, so that's that's how that happened.
That's one of those like companies I just want to like look up and be like, what happened to them? You know, what happened? No, Obsession I always liked because for some reason I always thought it smelled like the beach. I don't know why, but I always thought it smelled like the beach. So, but anyway, much better than an arcade smelled years ago. And but right. You know, I'm trying to think of what we had. I mean, for fast food in that food court, we had Burger King, we had pizza, we had Taco Bell, we had Arby's, we had Fabulous Phil's. I don't even remember what the hell that was. We had the A&W hot dogs and more. If you were to rank those, I'm just flying by the seat of my pants here, but if you were to rank those, what would be the worst? What would be the last place you eat at?
You know, I was never a big Arby's fan.
No,
I never really got Arby's. I like their spicy curly fries. But as far as like their menu items, not a big fan.
It's one of those things today, like, who are these people that are keeping Arby's afloat? I don't know. I don't know anyone that, like, eats Arby's on the regular. And it's been, like, this running joke where my son, like, Connor he's like, Dad, I'm going to give you an Arby's gift card. And, like, it's a joke, you know?
I really think most Arby's are just like a front for, like, a money laundering operation.
Yeah, like Mattress Firm, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Because I go by, there's never anyone in the drive-thru.
No,
And I think there's like one or two cars. So like, I think they'll intentionally leave cars there all the time. So at least people think, maybe it's the workers, maybe it's a customer. But I think there's usually like 2 cars in a lot at all times.
Yeah.
It's very, very suspicious.
I think Arby's would be the last place I would eat in the food court. And I only ate twice from there. I remember once I got mozzarella sticks, which were fine. And then I got a roast beef sandwich, which I just remember the roast beef just being like really gray and dry. And
I question if it's actually meat too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I ate there. Maybe Burger King like was closed for the day. And then the A&W hot dogs and more. Like, I don't know. I feel like a mall hot dog is like probably the lowest quality meat ever, like it's one thing to buy like a cheap hot dog in a supermarket, but like a hot dog from a mall, I don't know. And we always talked about like the smells in that area, and they all kind of wafted into the arcade, and how like
right,
you've got Arby's, pizza, hot dogs and more, Burger King, Chinese food. They all come together and make this like superpower, like this super odor. And then here comes the movie popcorn. That smell comes in, mixed with the BO. And again, there's the one kid drenched in Dracar Noir,
Something about, just back to the hot dog, just something about buying a hot dog in a mall just doesn't sit well with me.
No.
I feel like you get a hot dog, obviously like a hot dog stand wherever in New York City or, like a fair. Obviously, you get a hot dog and a beer at a ball game.
Yeah.
But I just feel like there's certain places that you should be forbidden from buying a hot dog from, and the mall would be, included in that category.
Would general like convenience stores be up there too, like 7-Elevens? Would you rank that as in the same category as hot dog in a mall food court? No,
I think that's acceptable. I think I think like a 7-Eleven is acceptable, but I don't think anybody should be buying a hot dog at a mall.
Interesting, because usually my hot dogs, like I like them like over an open flame, and that's usually like we're camping or something. But
ideally, right?
I've never been like, what do you want to do for dinner tonight? I'm feeling hot dogs. Like I'm trying to think what else was there that was kind of weird. I think there was like a clam chowder place at one point, because if you look on some of the like vintage photos from our mall, there's like a chowder place. I could be wrong.
Remember that. However, I do remember there's certain restaurants people remember, they talk about.
Yeah.
They look back on them with fondness, but for whatever reason they're gone. And one of those restaurants is the Ground Round at the Berkshire Mall. I know it's not the food court, but I've never heard anybody say anything bad about the Ground Round.
So I don't know if you know this, but there's a Ground Round. Bonanza, yeah. I don't know if you know this, but the Ground Round has seen a resurgence because somewhere. So listen to this. So somewhere out east, you gotta Google it. Somebody resurrected a Ground Round, brought it back from the dead, and there's now a legit Ground Round somewhere out in eastern Massachusetts. They got the obscure cartoons on the wall. They got the popcorn. They even have... So this is the messed up thing. They even have the pay what you weigh. Do you remember the pay what you weigh feature? Like, what a body-shaming, culinary restaurant experience here. Like,
Here you are.
That's something I'm surprised exists in 2025.
I think it's they got it the other way around. I don't. They've made it less fat shaming. I don't know, but if that's possible, but yeah, just like, hey, it's 1990. Step on the scale, and we're going to see what you weigh, little boy. I don't know, and then your parents will have to pay that amount. It's just so bizarre. Like, couldn't they just say all kids 50 cents? And call it a day.
Right.
I don't know.
It's like an average, whatever the average weight is, just charge that.
I know. So there's legit ground round, and so I'm telling you, go look it up. But the last time I ate at a ground round was probably like 2002 or 3.
Did they still put the ice cream and the mini plastic baseball hats?
At this new one, maybe. I mean, years ago, yeah. And that was pretty freaking cool, right? And then you eat it, and then you're like, and you put it on top of your head, and then your parents are like, no, you got ice cream in your hair now, But somebody on Facebook the other day was like, what's going on at Target? There was like a huge line at like 7 a.m, and I was like, it's the Nintendo Switch 2 release, and I kind of forgot people like did that. Like, I kind of forgot they like acted homeless and slept outside a Target to get the latest gaming thing. I don't know. I guess it's still as exciting as it was when we were kids, Like, when's the last time you kind of like ran out and got like a system or a game you just like couldn't wait for? Because I feel like at my age, I'm like, I can wait.
Yeah, exactly. I was actually down to Target today. They were sold out of the Wii 2, but it's
Switch 2.
Right. Yeah, Switch 2, and but yeah, it's one of those things where, if a game comes out, highly anticipated game, you can't, like most people, they can just download it, so they're not going to be waiting outside of stores for days, for that game, but. Last anticipated release, for me, I feel like it was like the Super Nintendo.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
it was probably for me. It was like NBA Jam, and I pre-ordered it, and I got a free fanny pack from Babbage's with it in 1994. It's probably sitting in a box in my mom's house. But thinking about it now, I bet you I could probably get some serious money for it on eBay.
Oh yeah.
I feel like I want to eBay that, right? Like, look it up right now, like how much a Babbage's fanny pack goes for. But we were talking about this the other day about how video games today, like the physical media portion of it, and how like a lot of people just download the game. And this goes along with when you bought cassettes or CDs. And when you bought a game, there was the box, came in a cool box, lots of like artwork on it. You'd open it up. There would be like flyers for other games in it, right? There was like a warranty card, and then the instruction manual, which you could totally, peruse while you're going to the bathroom every now and again. Like, it had cool like graphics in there, and it was like reading the liner notes in like the newest CD. Like, I remember getting the Black Album on cassette and just going through the liner notes. It was like, Lars Ulrich plays Tom of Drums. I'm like, oh my God,
Right.
But I think, with downloadable games today, you don't, there's so many people that just lust for physical media,
Oh yeah. And I'm in that same boat too. I like to get something that I can hold, I can feel, I can see, and I miss the old instruction manuals too, and the inserts that came in with CDs. That was the 90s. We'd open up a game, open up a CD. The first thing you generally do is look through the manual. And nowadays you open up a Switch game, and there's this little mini cartridge.
Oh God!
No insert at all.
No.
Empty space.
Yeah. That's funny because I remember Connor buying one, and we opened it up, and I'm like, "There's something missing," and that was one of like a few games that he eventually lost because obviously they're, the games are the size of a grain of rice. So, you've gone back and recaptured the original Nintendo. You're starting a collection. Are you trying to like acquire as many games as you can from your childhood at this point, or like where are you stopping? Is 100 good enough?
Well, I'm starting with the Super Nintendo. When it comes down to my favorite system of all time, I mean,
mine too.
I would have to say Super Nintendo. Genesis very
Yeah.
second, very close second.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm working on, my end goal is to complete or to collect all the games that are released for Super Nintendo in North America, which is, I believe, around 740.
Holy cow! Really? Wow. Wow. Are you looking? Because I mean, there's hardcore people that are like the box, the manual. Are
Right.
you trying to get all that, or because that's like a
And
whole nother
so-
level of collector?
No, right, and it really depends on the game. And you were talking about NBA Jam earlier. I actually have a complete in-box NBA Jam.
Oh my God! Holy crap!
for Super Nintendo, and it depends. I would like to get all of them complete in box, but I mean the prices for some of these that are really not in good shape complete in box is outrageous. And there's just certain games in general that are rare that are a lot of money.
Yeah.
So this is a big undertaking. It's not something I'm going to complete anytime soon. I just hope throughout the years I can just keep collecting and preferably find some at tag sales and
Yeah.
flea markets and stuff like that. But it's fun. It's a fun hobby. I like being able to collect things that actually serve a purpose and have a function. You can actually play the games.
Yeah, I get that because it's like it's a fun hobby. It's an expensive hobby, but it's not like I'm climbing Mount Everest expensive type of hobby, but it's still a hobby that costs money. But I think you're right in that, like, I used to collect a lot of wrestling figures, action figures, and right now they're just sitting in buckets in my basement because I really don't have a place in the house for them. And I'm like, what am I doing with these? I'm not displaying them anywhere. But with somebody like you with the games, like you can actually like play them as well as like they're being put to use. They're not like a set of dishes that like is being passed down to you, and you're like, I really don't want these, but I'm gonna hold on to them because if I don't, the family's gonna me, And I think I talked about this in one of my episodes where it's like a lot of toy companies are reissuing the same exact toys that they sold 40 years ago. And the people that played with them are now buying up those same toys. And I think one of the reasons, I had some theories about why. And I think one part of it is, life gets really hard sometimes. And what makes people feel better is something from their childhood, like general nostalgia, And so, like Kristen bought a couple of these mini pound puppies. She saw them in Walmart, and she was like, it made me so happy to buy them. It was like that shot of dopamine that like
Right.
she needed like that day, And I feel like for a lot of people that's what it is like some people are never going to afford a home. So they're like, I'm just going to play retro video games to fill that void of, never owning my own home.
Right.
And, I feel like it's never been that stronger than it is now. I don't know if it was like that years ago, but I feel like it's just really strong now,
Yeah, absolutely. And like Kristen, the pound puppies, and people buying retro video games and things from their childhood. I mean, they have like all the original Ninja Turtles, and like that you can buy as well.
The figures, yeah.
The figurines, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So so I definitely think that there's something to be said as far as just kind of bringing you joy, and we mentioned before as far as like just escapism from everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
and how going back to the original Nintendo. I mean, that was kind of one of the original distractions out there, or ways we would kind of escape from various issues, or dysfunctional families and stuff like that as a as a kid. But yeah, even as adults, just kind of going back to that time in our life where things were a lot simpler. As we get older, life gets more complex. And sometimes it's nice to kind of escape and think about what things were like, or just buy something that kind of takes us back, right, to simpler times, when we're kids.
I was going to say, like, what traumatic event prompted you to buy an original Nintendo, right? Because I thought of something like about how like people like adult Disney fans are just always like, so, like me included, like so goddamn emotional about everything with Disney World and stuff like that. And I'm like, Disney people that like go to Disney all the time, they definitely have the most trauma from their childhood, like. And I talked about this once. It's like people go to Universal Studios. They're like, woohoo, roller coasters. Just very like surface level. Like, we're going to have fun today. And then people go to Disney World like, my dad took me here. And,
And you hear about, talk show hosts, and they'll talk about, what are these, what's up with these adults that go to, Disney World? And they're going like by themselves. They're not even taking their kids. There's got to be some sort of mental illness, and we need to study this and stuff like this. And it's like, maybe they want a distraction. Maybe they want to heal their inner child. Who cares? They're not bothering you by going to Disney World.
I know.
I don't see any issue with that.
No.
Hey, it's fun. I mean, I'd still have a great time at Disney World in my 40s, with or without kids.
Yeah, I've heard. I think I've heard that. I think it was Matt Walsh. He's an asshole. He's an asshole. I guess in conclusion, I should probably wrap it up. We should probably wrap it up soon. But I think just like it's kind of sad that our mall that we grew up in is closed, because it was just. This sounds really cheesy, but the place to be, because my daughter, I remember she and her like boyfriend at the time, they wanted to go out somewhere, and I remember Kristen and this boy's mom, they were like, they said we both wish the mall was open, because it'd be easier, because we could just drop them off at the mall and they could spend 3 hours at the mall just hanging out, walking around. And we don't really have a place like that to do just general hanging out like that when it's like cold, it's not summertime. A lot of that is gone for a lot of people. We go to the arcade, play some games, go to Burger King, walk around, go and sit on the beds in Sears and get kicked out, just wander, look at stuff we're never going to buy.
Sack outside of JCPenney.
Yeah. It's just, again, part of that world that is gone, I think, and our kids will never get to experience. But anyway, I'm wicked tired.
Oh, yeah. Well, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, anytime.